I mean, the goal for weeks has been to make a playoff series. Obviously, get past the winless record in the play-in to do so. Just how significant is that, and just within the arc of the season to make a playoff series at this point?
I don't know exactly what point in the year it was when we were below 500, and after a 12-3 start, an emotional roller coaster of the season, for us to be able to, climb our way back into relevancy and then, trick off a couple opportunities to get it done within the 82. It just came down to, having one game where we just get a win however we could, and thankfully it happened. And now with some clarity on, who we're playing in the playoff series, great Houston team that's had an amazing year. For us, just a sense of relief that we have something to look forward to now, and I'm excited about the challenge.
Steph, as one who's won championships in many playoff series, where did this play in victory rank in your career?
I'll put it this way, Mike Dunleavy in the locker room had the game ball, and after Coach did his thing, Mike interrupted and was like, I got the game ball here, 4 championships. And he threw it to Steve and said, this is your first play-in game win. So obviously you got to have some fun with it. It's done well for the league, obviously, keeping some interest and some drama down the stretch of the season. And for us to finally get on the other side of it and live to play hopefully a solid 7-game series, it's exciting.
Jimmy's called you Batman about 4 times tonight.
What?
Yeah, he's on interviews on TV, on the podium. He's calling you Batman and him Robin. Has he done that to you?
No, that's why I said, well, I hadn't heard that one yet.
38 from him tonight. I know, there was some talk maybe in the weeks leading up to this past week about him, does he need to amp up his scoring aggression? Did you ever push him to, or did you know it was coming? Did you ever want it to come sooner?
There's been a few games, here and there sporadically where he has been a little bit more aggressive looking for a shot. He's obviously been getting to the free throw line, and I think it's obviously the sense of urgency of winning games that matter down the stretch. But I never doubted it was coming. It's just he always has a sense of pride on playing the right way and whatever the game calls for. And I think he kind of understood that he's been here before. He understands the nerves and the adrenaline and the expectations, and none of that rattles him. It's just he plays basketball at a high level, so that's what's coming out. I don't think it's it's predetermined that he's being aggressive, but it's just because of the moment. And so we definitely needed every one of them. And you can tell he's a dog and a winner and loves these type of environments, and it brings the best out of him.
Steph, over here, you've played a lot, obviously, with GP over the years. Why do you guys mesh so well together, and how instrumental can he be in the playoffs, as he was at times in 22 and as he obviously was tonight, beyond just his defense?
Well, you have to start with his defense because that's the way he can change a game with his ball pressure, just his knack for the ball. And then offensively, it's no secret. They're going to play off of him, force him to knock down shots. He's not afraid of taking them. He can knock them down. He's great in the pocket, getting to the basket. He just knows how to play basketball. And if he doesn't have a shot, he's swinging it and, setting great pin and screens for me, just always in the right spot. And he uses his athleticism to his advantage. So if they put bigger guys on him, he takes advantage of it. And, he's a savvy veteran that way, and he's always made an impact. And me and him have a great chemistry because you got to give up something.
Draymond said he's really looking forward to that first film session ahead of the series. What is that first film session like ahead of a playoff series with Steve?
It is just attention to detail. You really just flip the book on Houston, their patterns, and you want to truly understand, hopefully them better than they know themselves kind of vibe, and just be as prepared as possible. It's fun because you have everybody locked in on what we enjoy about our playoff series is just one opponent, and it's the chess match from before the first game, and then in between every game. It's just trying to find the subtle changes or game plan discipline that can help you just win 4 games. And so it's been we missed the playoffs last year, and the year before that, Sacramento and LA. It's just it reminds you just how much fun the playoffs are, and that chess match that goes back and forth. And so sitting down that first film session gets the juices flowing.
Steph, kind of building on that, how much has your appreciation grown for making the playoffs now at this point in your career compared to earlier on when you guys began the championship run? How do you look at it differently now through your lens?
Well, it's easy to not take it for granted because we weren't there last year. So, from 2013 to 19, we made, obviously, the finals runs and all that, but we were in the playoffs every year. Had that 2-year stretch where we missed it, and then 22 came around. I think it's just a reminder that it's not guaranteed. I don't care how talented you are. You look around the league, you could argue more talented teams than we have that are on the outside looking in. So you appreciate the moments. That's why we've been talking this game for the last 2 months since the trade deadline, how much how important it is to play meaningful games. And now we have a series that's going to be full of meaningful ones.
Ime Udoka was pretty clear during the last time they played you that they kind of wanted to physically, I guess, beat the entire team up, but clearly you're kind of at the head of that game plan. How much of that do you expect in this series, and I guess how much of that noise did you kind of absorb in the aftermath of that Rockets loss?
Honestly, didn't hear nothing afterwards. I just know we were talking on the court and all that, but they are the number 2 seed for a reason. They've played well all year long. They play a certain, physical style of defense, and they're super athletic. So that's the beauty of the playoffs. Like, you get to take a second and kind of understand what they do well and how we're going to try to counter that and how we can try to make them uncomfortable. And, it's all eyes on them. So we're excited for the challenge. I was just telling Draymond, it's wild. We've been in playoff series in Houston for a decade. Like, it's crazy to think about. I know this is a brand new version of the Rockets team, but we're excited for the challenge.
Steph, as you get older, people look for signs of deterioration or whatever you want to call it.
That's a strong word.
Yeah, it is. I was trying to think of a softer one, but but where are you right now? How do you feel right now? Are you just as good as the old Steph going into the playoffs? Are you beat up? Are you slower but smarter?
Everybody's dealing with something at this stage. I don't feel like I'm slowing down at all. It's just, the maintenance and the build-up game to game is a little different than it used to be, but I can still get to that level that you're seeing night in, night out. So you have to accept the fact that we talked about getting as much rest as possible and how important game 82 was, and we didn't get it done, how important the night was to have, 5 days to, get ready for a playoff series. So I'm going to take full advantage of that for sure. Just to get, refreshed and rejuvenated and try to get as healthy as possible before we start, hopefully, a 2-month journey.
Been more than a decade that Draymond's been centering lineups for you guys, obviously a lineup that you've leaned on in making this run. Just how would you contextualize the responsibility he wields in that spot and the advantages that it still continues to create for you guys?
I mean, from the original small ball death lineup thing and just him being able to play bigger than his stature, make his presence felt, be our quarterback on defense. It allows us to play faster on offense. He's a great playmaker on offense too, and so it just gives teams fits because he just knows how to make plays and be in the right spot. He loves that challenge, and so this team specifically, probably more than any other team, like we have to play that way. That's gonna be a huge part of our identity if we're gonna win in the playoffs, and we expect him to keep doing what he's doing because I know he loves making his presence felt and changing the game on the defensive end.
Steph, Draymond said that a lot of nicknames in the NBA are bogus, but that playoff Jimmy is a real thing. Would you agree with him? And what do you think it's going to be like going into the playoffs with playoff Jimmy, something you haven't done before?
I mean, we've all watched it. Like he was on the Eastern Conference, and we on the West. We never got to play against playoff Jimmy, but the idea of just he raises his level based on or at the right time when it's needed the most, and that's why the trade made so much sense for us because he has that experience, he has that resume, and he proved it. He's proven it since he's been here, but in these last two games, you can see a different level of intentionality, and especially just scoring the basketball because teams are trying to take away some of our pet actions. At the end of the day, you just need somebody that can put the ball in the basket, and he knows how to do that. So we have to keep doing all of our parts, and playoff Jimmy will hopefully be a big unlock for us.
Steph, you talk about wanting to take full advantage of these next 4 days off. What does that look like for you, and how do you balance rest and recovery against preparing for Houston?
Well, preparation is resting for now because we've been on a crazy run this last 2 months where every game has felt like a playoff game, and our schedule's been kind of crazy with road trips and all that. So take a day where you do absolutely nothing. Just get away from the game as far away as I can, be with my family, and then the preparation starts on Thursday, where it's more the mental part of it, like understanding what the roadmap looks like between Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and what I need to do to get my body right, stay sharp on the court, not overdo it, and the experience will kind of come into play on making sure you're as prepared as possible mentally and physically to be ready to go. But tomorrow I plan on doing nothing that has to do with basketball.
Jimmy just said that maybe even before the trade happened, when he was talking maybe to you or to Mike or whoever, that he knew if he came here, this team would be in the playoffs. Did you know that at that moment? When did you know that this move was going to get you guys in the playoffs?
You never really know. From my standpoint, you have belief, like in your, you approach every day with the goal of, especially where we started when the trade happened, to get here, like knowing how long that road was going to be, how tough it was going to be. That first game in Chicago, everything felt pretty, natural, and there was a smooth transition of what our team looked like post-trade, and that was a great feeling. And then we just kind of kept that rolling. I forget what our record was at a certain point when both me and Jimmy, or when Jimmy played and when we had our quote-unquote full team. But, winning produces more confidence and more energy, and we've been riding that wave for the last 2 months, even when we've had some slip-ups. Like the San Antonio game, the Houston game, like nobody panicked. We knew we didn't play our best, but nobody was panicking or feeling like we didn't have what it takes to, it sounds crazy to be a 7 seed, but that seemed like a long way away 2 months ago.
Kerr said he didn't want to say it before, but that you were desperate. This team was desperate to win this just to get the time off. You knew what it would consequence. Maybe that explains maybe the shoot around, was not scheduled and it was scheduled. Just, was there a focus there that was a little different on this one?
Yeah, we've had a pattern last 2 or 3 weeks. Kind of that question about what it looks like before Saturday or Sunday when we play, like the mental preparation of game plan, discipline, and like, you know, me, Draymond, Jimmy, Loon, we've all been here, so we kind of understand it, but a lot of guys haven't. And throw GP in there, like a lot of guys haven't been here, and you know, the physical demand is one thing, but the mental capacity to be able to lock into a game plan, trust that you're prepared and on the same page, you know, no matter who you're out there on the floor with, that was at there's a sense of urgency around that. So we gave ourselves, you know, a good chance to do it in 82. Like I said, didn't happen. You know, to get this one sealed up and have 5 days is big for us, and we got to take full advantage of it.
Steph, you said it, the last few have been intense. How does that kind of impact the series that's coming up against an aggressive Houston team, knowing that it's going to be intense from here on out?
I mean, you just tap into the same energy. Like, we know what to expect, and you know, you're excited to embrace that challenge for sure. You know, every game, like I said, has felt like a playoff game for a long while now, and it'd be nice to kind of catch our breath and again, you know, hit reset a little bit, but lean into just that, you know, that competitiveness that we've tapped into since February, and we should be in good shape.
All right, that's it. Thank you.